At this point, all parts of the doll that need crocheting are finished. Now let's assemble them. The assembly is divided into the head and body assembly, ears, facial features, and hair. Now, let's show. Let's start by assembling the head and body. Take out the head. Thread the reserved yarn tail onto a darning needle. Pay attention, here the side of the head with the dent should face forward. Making it convenient for creating the facial features later. Then start sewing. Sew through the collar while you're at it. Check the position as you sew. And make sure not to sew crooked. Likewise, there's no specific requirement for the sewing method here, just ensure it's secure. Once all the sewing is completed, weave in the ends. This completes the sewing of the head and body. Next, let's sew the ears. Attach the ears just above the shoulders, roughly level with the indented area. Count the rounds from the top downward. The sewing position is approximately between round 17 and round 19. Now start sewing. Take the ear and thread the sewing needle. Place the slightly smoother side of the ear facing outwards. Now start sewing below. First, find the right position. That completes the sewing. Then weave in the ends. Break the yarn. Everyone sews the other ear as well. Next, let's assemble the hair. Here, the hair is used with the wrong side facing out. Below, we will proceed to assemble. Take out the hair. Here, we need to use pins to secure the hair in place. The wrong side of the hair should face outwards. First, fix it at the center of the top. Secure the middle position well. Start by fixing the first layer of hair strands. There are 8 slightly longer hair strands. And there are 9 slightly shorter hair strands. The longer hair strands should be placed at the back of the head. Place them on the back side of the head. Find these 8 strands of hair first. Secure them one by one. After securing, continue to fix the shorter strands. Secure along the 2 sides of the longer strands. Do not wrap around the ears. The front strands need to be shaped. Make them tilt towards the right side. The strands should not be too low. Do not cover the position of the eyes. Leave 3 strands on the left side. Everyone, secure them first. After the first layer of strands is secured, continue to fix the second layer. Place the second layer of strands evenly on top of the first layer's ends. Secure them well. After all strands are fixed, you can also adjust the shape a bit. You can arrange the positions according to your preference. Finally, you need to attach the strands to the head. Start by sticking the strands at the back of the head. Remove the pins while gluing. Everyone continue gluing using this method. Pay attention, here you need to glue the entire strand. After the strands at the back are glued, continue gluing the strands at the front. Here, the tail of the strand can be folded upward before gluing. The two strands at the parting line don't need to be fully glued. You can glue just the upper part. Create a shape for the ends of the strands. Everyone, continue gluing the rest. This completes gluing the first layer of strands. Everyone, glue the second layer of strands as well. Up to this point, the hair assembly has been fully explained. Next, we will work on the facial features. The facial features include the eyes, mouth, and blush. The eyes are pre-made, so there's no need to make them. Just attach them with glue. The placement should be roughly level with the ears. Below the hair, start gluing underneath. Take out the eyes. Apply glue to the back. This completes gluing one eye. Everyone, glue the other one as well. There is an interval of about 4 stitches between the two eyes. Next, we will make the mouth. The mouth requires sewing with 2 strands of yarn. Take out the pre-cut corresponding yarn. Pull out 2 strands. Then thread through the sewing needle. Here, for your convenience to see more clearly, I will not separate the strands. First, weave in the yarn tail inside the fabric. Then come out at the corresponding position. Insert about 2 stitches apart. Slightly create some curve. Don't sew too tight. Then weave in the ends. Up to this point, the mouth is sewn up. Lastly, apply the blush. The position for the blush is below the eyes. Adjust the intensity according to your preference. This way, one side of the blush is done. Everyone continue and finish the other side. Up to here, we've covered the facial features. Finally, let's move on to the doll decorations, including the bow tie, copper beads, gold thread, shoulder badges, and crown. Next, let's make them. Start with the bow tie. The bow tie is made of tulle ribbon. Take a piece of tulle ribbon about 3 centimeters in length. You can slightly burn the edges of the tulle ribbon with a lighter. Then take out the sewing thread. Start sewing from one end of the tulle ribbon. After sewing a few stitches, pull tight at the end. Secure it slightly. That's how you make the bow tie. Then sew it onto the collar. You can sew it underneath the collar. Finally, weave in the ends. Cut the yarn. That's all for the bow tie. Next, let's work on the copper beads and gold thread section. Take a piece of gold yarn. Weave in the end inside the body. Leave an interval of about 4 stitches between each copper bead. The position for the first copper bead is on the second round from the bottom, counting upwards. Exit. Secure the copper bead. Then move to the left side position. Secure the copper bead again. That's how you make one row. You need to make 3 rows of this decoration here. Continue and exit after counting upwards 2 more rounds. The method to secure downwards is the same as before. Everyone, make sure everything is secured well. After securing, weave in the ends, and fasten off the yarn. Everyone, complete them on your own. Next, let's work on the gold thread for the legs. Take out the gold thread. Thread it through a sewing needle. Secure the yarn tail inside the leg. Exit at the single crochet stitch, where the legs meet. Then exit again 3 stitches apart on the right side below. Continue sewing the second one. The insertion position here is between the legs. Then come out from underneath the garment. The exit position here can be random. You can sew according to your preference. Just sew out the pattern. Insert about 3 stitches apart from below. This way, one leg is sewn up. Everyone continues to sew the other leg in the same way. After completing all the sewing, break the yarn, weave in the ends. After finishing the copper beads and gold thread, it's time to glue on the shoulder badges and the crown. The method is pretty simple. There are 2 shoulder badges. Glue them onto both sides of the shoulders. Place the crown at the center of the head. Make sure to glue all of them properly. Up to this point, the entire doll has been covered. Now let's make the base. The base is divided into the main part and the decorative part. The main part of the base uses the magic ring method. Crochet in rounds. The stitch patterns used have been explained earlier. The method is quite simple. Continue crocheting the main part all the way to the second to last round. Now let's crochet the final round. Pay attention. I'll demonstrate the method with a sample. When you crochet, follow the chart for accuracy. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain, then start crocheting slip stitches. Hook into the first stitch. One slip stitch is complete. The slip stitch here doesn't need to be tightened. Continue hooking into each stitch and making slip stitches. After you finish this round, break the yarn after completing all stitches. Insert the hook from behind the first stitch. Then insert it through the center of the chain on the right side. Pull tight. Weave in the ends. That concludes the main part of the base. After finishing the base, we'll move on to the accessories. The accessory here is a star. There are a total of 9 stars. You can see that the lowest point of the star is at about the 4th round, when counting upwards from below. Here, I'll demonstrate the installation method for one of the stars. Take out a star. Here, I'll continue to demonstrate the method using a sample. Find the right position. Align the star properly. Insert the pointed end through the fabric. Then press the pointed end down firmly. That's how you make one star. There should be an interval of approximately 5 to 6 stitches between each star. Everyone, continue with the next steps. You can also determine the position of the stars based on your preference. Complete them all. Up to this point, the entire base has been covered. Next, we'll make the cup. The cup consists of an outer piece and an inner piece. It also includes handles and decorations. After crocheting the inner and outer pieces and the handles, work on the decorations. Finally, merge and connect the two fabrics together. The new stitch method used is FV for DC 2-in-1. The outer piece is crocheted on the remaining half stitches of the base. Pick up the stitches and crochet upwards. While crocheting, make sure the starting point of the main part is facing up. Start by joining the yarn. Everyone, keep crocheting all the way to the 20th round. Now let's move on to the 21st round. Here, I'll explain the method using a sample. First, make one chain as your beginning chain. Then, crochet one single crochet stitch. After that, complete 2 half double crochet stitches. Two double crochets. Then comes 2 FV. That is, 2 DC 2-in-1. Let's do the first one. A DC 2-in-1 means crocheting 2 double crochets in one stitch. One, 2. The DC 2-in-1 is completed. After completing it, continue with another DC 2-in-1 in the adjacent stitch. The second DC 2-in-1 is done. Then crochet 2 double crochets. Two half double crochets. One single crochet. That completes one group of stitches in the chart. Keep going until you finish all the remaining groups. Once everything is done, finish with a slip stitch and tighten. Cut the yarn and weave in the ends. That concludes the outer piece. For the inner piece, start again with the magic ring method. Crochet in rounds. Refer to the pattern and keep crocheting all the way to the 28th round. Once completed, break the yarn. Weave in the ends. Now let's move on to the 29th round. I'll explain the method using a sample. The joining position is close to the slip stitch. It's also above the single crochet in the last round. That means the stitches from the 27th round. Start joining the yarn here. Draw the yarn through. Skip one single crochet position. Work a slip stitch. While crocheting, you can weave in the yarn tail from below. Crochet one stitch per stitch. Keep going until you finish. Finally, cut the yarn. Weave in the ends. The 29th round is now complete. Move on to the 30th round. Join the yarn again near the slip stitch. Here, you need to pick up the entire chain. After joining the yarn, chain 2 as a beginning chain. These 2 chains count as 1/2 double crochet. Corresponding to this chain, continue downward and work a 1/2 double crochet in the next stitch. For this round, just work even in 1/2 double crochets. While crocheting, pay attention to picking up the entire chain, and remember to weave in the ends. Keep going until you finish. Then find the second chain of the beginning chain. Pick up 2 strands and work 1 slip stitch. If you're having trouble finding the exact position, just pick about 2 strands. Pull tight. The 30th round is completed. Now we're working on the 31st round. First, chain 2 as a beginning chain. Then correspondingly make 5 1/2 double crochets. Start from the stitch on the left side. Then make 1 HDC 2 in 1. After completing, make 3 1/2 double crochets. Now we've reached the parenthesis section. First, work 6 1/2 double crochets. Then make 1 HDC 2 in 1. Followed by 3 1/2 double crochets. The group of stitches inside the parentheses is now complete. Continue working on the rest. Finally, locate the second braid of the beginning chain. Pick up 2 strands and work 1 slip stitch. Secure with 1 chain. Cut the yarn. Everyone, weave in the ends. The 31st round is complete. After finishing, continue with the 32nd and 33rd rounds. These 2 rounds consist of slip stitches and single crochets. They create a texture similar to the surface of a planet like this. There are 3 textures like this here. The crochet method is similar, only the sizes differ. 2 of them have a diameter of about 2 centimeters. The other one is smaller, with a diameter of about 1.5 centimeters. Here, I'll demonstrate the method using one of them as an example. First, take out the water-soluble pen. Draw a rough circle at the position opposite the slip stitch. The circle here has a slightly larger diameter. Then start crocheting slip stitches along the pen mark. The insertion points are random here. Pull the yarn through from the bottom. Here, make a slip stitch approximately every single crochet distance. While crocheting, tighten the yarn tail a bit. Finally, break the yarn. Weave in the ends. Next, you need to pick up the braid charted by the slip stitches. Work a round of single crochets, corresponding each stitch. The insertion position is random here as well. Start with 1 chain. When crocheting, pick up the entire braid. Lastly, slip stitch to the first stitch. Pull tight. Break the yarn. Finally, weave in the ends on the wrong side. That's how you finish crocheting a planet surface texture. Use the same method to complete the other 2. Up to this point, we have covered all the inner and outer pieces. Next, make the cup handles. Start with a magic ring and crochet in rounds. Add the shaping wire while crocheting. Now, let's show. There are no new stitches used here. First, refer to the chart and finish the last round. Then secure with a chain. Leave about 35 centimeters of the yarn tail before breaking the yarn. After completing all the crocheting, take out the shaping wire, bend one end by 1 centimeter. Measure the length of the handle. Add 1 centimeter when cutting. Cut it to your desired length. Mine is already cut here. Then bend the other end as well. This prevents the shaping wire from poking through the outside of the fabric. Next, place the shaping wire inside the handle. Finally, close up the opening of the handle. The closing method is similar to that used for the head. Pick up the front half stitch of each stitch in sequence. Pass the sewing needle from front to back. Then pull tight. That's how you finish closing the opening. Finally, weave in the yarn tail. This prevents the closing from becoming loose. Then exit from the center of the closing position. That concludes the handle making process. Now let's make the cup accessory. It includes branches, flowers, leaves, a small flower, and a star. The branch is made by crocheting chains. Let's start by making the branch. Now, let's sew. Next, we'll start with a foundation chain. Note that before casting on, leave about 10 centimeters of yarn tail. This will be used later to secure it. That's how you cast on. Continue crocheting chains. The number of chains here is not fixed. Refer to the chart for the exact length. After completing it, you can also place it on the cup. Compare it with the third round from the end. You can freely adjust according to the actual situation. Finally, leave about 10 centimeters of yarn tail, and cut the yarn. That's how you finish crocheting the branch. Then fix it onto the outer piece. The lowest point of the branch is fixed on the outer piece, around the position of the 6th round from the top downwards. Now let's secure it. Thread the reserved yarn tail onto a darning needle. Find the position of the slip stitch on the outer piece. Insert from below the slip stitch position in the 3rd round from the end. Secure the yarn tail on the wrong side. That's how you secure it properly. Then wrap along the piece for 1 round. Here, let's check the chain. On the right side, the chain looks like a braid. On the wrong side, there are horizontal lines. Here we need to have the wrong side facing out. Mind that the branch should not be twisted. Then insert into the same position, where the yarn tail was inserted earlier. Similarly, secure the yarn on the wrong side. That's how you secure it. Next, let's make the waves. The highest point of the wave is right underneath the 3rd round of single crochets from the top. The number of waves is random here. There are 10 such highest points in the finished product. You can also make them according to your preference. Start by making the waves first. You can use pins to secure them. Everyone, repeat this process to secure 1 full round. You can take a look. I've already secured everything in place. Next, let's sew it together. Take out the yarn in the branch color. Pull out 2 strands to sew with. Here, you just need to sew it onto the branch. If you encounter a pin, you can remove it. Everyone, sew this round following this method. Finally, weave in the ends. Cut the yarn. This completes the branch. Let's continue to sew the leaves. The leaves have 2 orientations. The adjacent 2 leaves have different orientations. And the sewing position is roughly at the highest and lowest points. You can also adjust according to your preference. Here, I'll explain the sewing method. Take out the yarn in the branch color. Pull out 2 strands. First, secure the tail end on the wrong side. Then start sewing. Begin from the position of the slip stitch. Exit. Thread through the leaf. Sew it together well. You can also sew it twice here. This makes it more secure. That's how you fix one leaf. Continue sewing downward. No need to cut the yarn. Simply exit the needle from the corresponding position. Pay attention to the orientation of the leaf. The second leaf is now sewn on. Everyone sew all the leaves together. After completion, fasten off and weave in ends. Next, let's make the flowers. There are 6 on the outer piece, and 1 on the inner side. A total of 7. The flowers are made from chiffon ribbon. Now, let's show. First, cut a length of sewing thread. Tie a knot at the tail. Set it aside for later use. Next, take out the ribbon. The length is marked on the pattern. Note that I'm using this ribbon here just to demonstrate the method. Fold the right end of the ribbon downward. Then fold it downward twice from the middle. Next, take the left side of the ribbon. Flip it backward from this folded position. Pinch the right side of the ribbon. Turn it to the left. Pay attention, when you start rolling, make sure to roll it tight. Twist downward tightly. When you notice that the left side of the ribbon is higher than the twisted part, continue folding the left ribbon backward. The right hand must hold it tightly. Keep folding and twisting at the same time. Until you float a flower with a diameter of about 1.5 centimeters. Once the size is roughly appropriate, sew a few stitches on the left side to secure it. Be mindful not to pull down too hard on the center of the flower, to prevent the flower from coming apart. Trim off the excess ribbon. Secure it once more. break the yarn. Here, cut off the excess part. Note: when making the flowers for the outer piece, you can cut them slightly flatter. When making the flowers for the inside, you need to leave them slightly longer. These flowers are for the inner piece. Everyone repeat this process. And finish all the remaining flowers. Then stick the flowers onto the branches. Start counting from the handle. Place a flower approximately every 2 leaves apart. You can also freely adjust according to the actual situation. Make sure not to cover the leaves while sticking, after sticking all the flowers. Let's sew on the handles now. The sewing position for the handle is at the slip stitch location. Bend it into an S shape. Now we start sewing. Take out the handle. Thread the reserved yarn tail onto a darning needle. Fold the bottom part. Now we begin sewing. Pay attention, I'm only explaining the method here. Follow your actual crocheting as the standard. There's no specific requirement for the sewing method here. Just make sure it's secure. That's it, one end is now sewn on. Continue with the other end. You don't need to break the yarn. Simply exit from the corresponding position. After sewing, weave in the ends. Fasten off the yarn. The handle is now sewn on. Next, let's work on the decorations for the inside. It's a small flower. The flower consists of blossoms, leaves, and stems. Now, let's sew. First, take the corresponding yarn for the leaves and a piece of stem. Thread it through the sewing needle. No need to tie a knot at the yarn end. Insert it into the leaf. Fold it in half. Leave about 3 centimeters of yarn at the bottom and cut. Repeat this process to make 2. Then, take the flower and a shaping wire about 5 centimeters long. Apply glue on the top part of the shaping wire. Insert it into the center of the flower. Next, take the stem yarn and start wrapping. Leave some distance at the bottom. Wrap for about 8 millimeters, then add a leaf. After wrapping a little distance, apply glue. Continue and add another leaf. While wrapping, make sure to weave in all the yarn tails. Wrap for about 3 centimeters and then stop. Apply glue on the bottom. Cut the yarn. Hold it tightly. This way, a small flower is completed. Next, insert it into the texture of one of the planet surfaces. Bend the shaping wire at the backside. Then, use yarn to secure the remaining part of the shaping wire. Be mindful not to sew through to the outside of the fabric. After securing, weave in the ends. Break the yarn. This way, a small flower is completed. Once the small flower is done, use a wet wipe to remove the pen marks. After completing a small flower, finally, follow the method of adding star decorations at the front. And secure 3 more stars as embellishments. Make sure you complete them all. Up to this point, all the decorations have been covered. Next, you need to sew the inner piece and the outer piece together. When sewing, make sure to align the slip stitches with each other, and stuff the filling inside. You can see on the outer piece, there is still a round of remaining half stitches left. We'll start sewing from this position. Pay attention to aligning the slip stitch positions. Here, sew by picking up stitches as you go. Don't sew through to the outside of the inner piece. Check while sewing if it's becoming crooked. Keep sewing downward. After sewing about halfway through, stuff in the filling. You don't need too much. Just make it slightly firm. Continue sewing the rest of the part. Finally, cut the yarn. This way, the inside and outer pieces are sewn together. Now let's connect the edge sections. Take out the corresponding yarn. Be mindful of the crocheting direction. Place the outer piece facing you. Locate the slip stitch position. We will join the yarn from the second stitch on the left side. Note that here you need to pass through both fabrics. After joining the yarn, make one beginning chain. Start working single crochets. As you crochet, ensure you go through both fabrics. Continue working single crochets correspondingly down the row. Pay attention to weaving in the ends. After completing 12 single crochets, work 1 slip stitch. The slip stitch here doesn't need to be tightened. Continue with another slip stitch. Work 12 single crochets downward. Work 1 slip stitch. We can consider 1 slip stitch, 12 single crochets, and 1 slip stitch as one group. Repeat this group moving forward. Finish crocheting all the way down. Join the last stitch with the first single crochet using a slip stitch. Pull tight. Cut the yarn. Weave in the ends. Up to this point, the inner piece and outer piece are connected. Finally, place the doll onto the inner piece. You can use glue to secure it here. Alternatively, you can sew several stitches underneath to hold it in place. You have the freedom to choose either method. For the music box on the base, you can also choose whether or not to glue it based on your preference. If you decide to attach it, apply glue above the music box. Then, simply fit the base and you're done. Up to this point, we've covered everything about this product. If you still have any unclear parts during the process, don't hesitate to join our Facebook group to get supports. Susan's Family. Supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.